Hi, I'm Bob Steinert, and I'm your host today for Business Insights. I'm a mentor and SCORE in Oklahoma City. Joining me today is Linda Parker, also a member of SCORE Oklahoma City, and we'll be talking today about business plan. Well, welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Bob.
Subject today is business plans, which you and I have both had the opportunity to work on a lot with clients.
Of course.
And business plans are always looked at with some trepidation and a lot of misunderstanding. But one thing we do know is that businesses that don't put a business plan together have a much higher failure rate consistently year after year.
That's correct.
From SBA data than businesses that do business planning. So there's clearly a real importance to this subject.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
So what exactly is a business plan?
A business plan, I think one way to look at it is like a roadmap for your business. So it is a way of projecting what might happen in a business, and how you're going to react to some of those things that might happen. It gives you that sense of security that you've thought through the issues that might come up in opening a business and what you might do, some ideas about what you might do. So it's a critical point of any business, whether you're existing business or you're just starting a new business. And as you said, I've looked at some stats that show that businesses that start with a business plan are 2.5 times more likely to be successful.
Yes, indeed. That's very important. A lot of people have that in their head and think that that's enough.
Sure.
But getting it down on a piece of paper, I think, really makes a big difference.
I agree. It's absolutely necessary.
Who looks at a business plan?
Well, again, it kind of depends on why you need the business plan. If you're going to need money to start your business, you're going to need a loan, you're going to be interested in investors, then you're absolutely going to have a formal business plan, because that is something that's just a known requirement for that kind of negotiation. Otherwise, you and maybe members of your team would be the people who looked at that business plan. It's a way of letting the people that work for you know where you're headed. It's a way of helping you stay on track so that you don't get distracted by things that may seem important at the time but are not, they're urgent at the time but not important from the standpoint of really getting the business off the ground. So could be anyone, could be a mentor for SCORE or someone else that you want to share the business plan with, so to give you some advice on changes or whether you've covered everything. So there's a variety of ways you could use a business plan.
Yeah. Just for yourself, in fact.
Absolutely.
Getting it very clear, getting focus on the business by writing it down. Yeah. What are the elements of a good business plan?
Well, in terms of just a general business plan, you're primarily going to describe what your products and or services are, making it very clear in your mind what it is that you're going to sell, and then getting very clear in your mind about who is actually interested in buying what you're selling. And that sometimes people think, well, everybody is going to be my customer. Well, that doesn't really help you in terms of planning for how you're going to contact those people, where you're going to find them. So it's really necessary to get it clear in your mind, who is my customer? That's your primary customer. It doesn't mean that other people couldn't buy your services or products. It just means that there's a group of people that you have in mind who have certain characteristics, by age, by gender, by socioeconomic group, whatever that is that's going to describe for you the specifics of who wants your products. And then deciding, how will you reach those people? Where can you find them? Are they going to be more likely to look at social media types of sites? Are they going to look in the phone book, which doesn't even exist anymore? Are they going to look, are they going to Google you? How are they going to find you? And how do you get the information out that your business is actually open for business? The other thing is looking at your competition. Who are they? What are they selling? How does it compare to what you have? What makes your business slightly different or better, or whatever word you want to use, from the other people who are selling something similar. And I found that people tend to forget about things, businesses that they just consider sort of too big. They don't think about the Walmarts, they don't think about the Targets, who may have similar services and products to them. But you really need to think through those and think about what is your competitive edge. And then finally, looking at what financially do you need in order to get this business off the ground and operational until the business can support itself. So there's a variety of financial statements that are required as part of a business plan. But in fact, the one that's the most critical to you is your cash flow, is to ensure that you can continue to pay who you need to pay, your creditors, your employees, that you can buy the inventories that you need in order to continue your business and not to just run out of money in the 6th or 8th or 10th month of the first year. So really thinking through the requirements of your business and what it's going to take, both from an income standpoint and an expenses standpoint, and then looking at how that cash is going to flow over the course of time. So those are the most critical parts.
Yes, indeed. A lot of people that I work with, clients, are what I'll call spreadsheet phobic. And that's where they have so much trepidation. How can we demystify that?
Well, I think in reality, if you think about it like a checkbook, that's pretty much what a cash flow statement is. It's just the checkbook for your business. Now, there are obviously other financial statements, but one resource that you have is SCORE, because we have people who are accountants who can help you get over that phobia. And it doesn't have to be an in-depth spreadsheet. As long as you have really accounted for where the income is coming from, what the expenses are, and how much you need month to month initially, and then maybe quarter to quarter after that to run the business, that's really what you need. The financial statements are not as complex as people think they are.
Yeah. We have another term that's kind of shocks people a little bit, and that's market research. Because the business plan is only credible if it's based on some solid information and data.
Sure.
And people are unaware of how to go about understanding their markets. Do you have suggestions?
Well, I do. There's on just Googling something to find out who sells this product, who provides this service. If you can narrow it down to a geographic area, there are even some research databases that you can use to look within a specific geographic area or within an element of the population. Another good example is if it's the kind of business that would have a trade association, and then trade associations can be a great resource for that information. The census data in some cases is very relevant, both the Oklahoma Census and the National Census data. Just looking for any information, even if you look for a business plan online, a free business plan on XYZ business, sometimes if you look at that, there will be other resource documents associated with that sample business plan that will lead you to research locations where you can actually find this information. There's the local public library has a very rich database now on business, setting up a business. And there are research databases within that library database, and all it takes for that is a library card. So there's a variety of things. The other possibility, which I've recommended to people, is find somebody who's in that business and ask them.
Yes.
Just do some interviews. You might find that people are reluctant to be interviewed if they are a local competitor, would be a local competitor. But in fact, you don't have to stick just within the Oklahoma City area. If you're wanting to open a business in Edmond and you can find a business in Moore or Norman that has similar kinds of products and services, they may not see you as a competitor, and they may be more than willing to help. In fact, I've found one client who had a really unusual idea, and there wasn't anything much available on it. So she got on LinkedIn and found that there were 2 other people in the United States that did something similar. So she contacted both of them. One said, "No way, won't help you." The other one said, great. I'm so happy to see you doing this, and maybe we can help each other out with cross referrals and things like that. So you never really know, but I think it's a great idea to just interview someone who's already in the business and ask them about it.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And my experience has been that most small business owners like to talk about their business.
Mine too.
Unless they feel you represent a real threat to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of camaraderie in each little business niche.
I've found that too.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I see someone's business plan and I ask questions, and they're unsure about it because they had somebody else write it. They used a web source or some service that writes their business plan for them. How do you see that?
Well, I think especially if you're going to need a loan, and you take a business plan into a lender's office and they start asking you questions, but you can't really answer them because you didn't write the plan, and you start stumbling around, that doesn't impress the person whom you're asking for a loan. So our recommendation is write it yourself. Now, if you're not the best writer in the world, it would help to have someone who can give you some guidance. So that, again, is where SCORE mentors can come in and actually give you feedback on the business plan, ask you questions, much like you would find if you were going to a lender, who would help you get over those kind of tough spots. So we really don't recommend that you pay for a business plan to be written. That doesn't mean people don't do it. And one of the very first clients I had paid $30,000 for a business plan. And the question I asked is, are you following it? And she said, oh no, but we're still paying it off.
Well, we're out of time for today, but this is such an important subject, we want to continue it next time. So Linda, if you're able to come back with us and join us next podcast, we'll continue this very important discussion. Thanks again, and goodbye to everyone.